If you want to make more money as a creative, then you got to get better at pricing. But most people are just looking for the magic number, and what you really should be focused on is the presentation that makes literally any number feel like a great deal. And I know this because I charged $7,500 to the exact same client that told another creator that they don't have the budget. And the crazy thing is, he actually had better gear and arguably more talent than me. The main difference was the pricing model. So in this video, I'm gonna show you 3 pricing models that'll make any number look like a great deal so that you can charge more, but also get more clients to say yes. And honestly, it's way more ethical too. Now, before we get into those pricing models, we first have to talk about why the typical way that people price themselves actually scares clients away and makes everything look super expensive. So pricing kind of lands in 3 sort of sub buckets. So the first one is time-based. So that's like your day rates, your hourly rates, half-day rates, that kind of stuff. The second is what I call cost plus. So that's when you add up all your expenses, your crew, all that stuff, and then you just add a margin on top of it. And the third is deliverables based. So that's when you have like a set rate for a photo or video, and you just multiply it by however many you deliver. Now there's a common denominator with all 3 of these, and it's that the value of all 3 of them is 100% on you. Okay, it's what? Your time, it's your cost, and it's your perceived value of what you think a deliverable is worth. And like, to be honest, even with day rates, I've never understood why people charge more for being on set for longer, because honestly, if anything, clients want you on set for less time because they have to manage less, and if they get the same output for less time, like why wouldn't you want that, right? So whenever we price based on what our value is, it always feels random, it feels confusing, and that's when you get clients pushing back, trying to negotiate, and ultimately passing over for somebody else. So it's not about the number, it's about shifting where the value lies, from valuing our time and effort to valuing the client's outcome. Now there's a bunch of ways that you can do this, but I'm just gonna cover the top 3 that I think are the most effective for creatives. And like, honestly, I think the third is probably my favorite. So the first pricing method is probably the easiest because you literally have to know nothing about the client's business and don't really even have to do any math. So if you're just starting out, I would definitely recommend this one. And I call it the Mint method. So if you've been on the internet at all, you've probably seen the Ryan Reynolds commercials for Mint Mobile, where he basically trashes big wireless.
When they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you.
So that's how this method works. And like I said, this is the easiest option to start with. You just have to know what their alternative options are that are kind of expensive, and then just be the cheapest, best option for them. So let's say, just for example, that we want to work with an athleisure brand and they want us to post every day and grow their page, get more sales, all that kind of stuff. So realistically, what are their options? Well, they could hire somebody in-house, right? And they would probably pay them, I don't know, what, 70K a year, something like that. And then you'd have to pay for gear and software and benefits and training, and then you'd have to manage them on top of it. So like all in, you're probably looking at 10K a month plus all in of what they would pay for an employee like that, okay? That's an option. What's the second option? Well, they could hire an agency. Now agencies will probably run them between 10 to even 20, but let's say just 10 to 15K a month, something in that range. Now the third option would be like random freelancers, but we'd probably have to like piecemeal them together. There probably wouldn't be a whole lot of strategy, not cohesion, all that kind of stuff. So really, it's not a great option. So we're really looking at 2 options, somewhere in the 10K range. So if we know that the alternatives are 10K, all we have to do is charge less than that. So we can charge anywhere between 5 to 7.5K, and we're looking at anywhere from a 25% to a 50% discount off of what their alternatives are. So now, charging 7.5 for a retainer doesn't sound expensive. It actually sounds like a discount off of the other options. So the meta lesson here is that we can improve the perceived value of our price depending on what we compare it to. So if we compare it to freelancers that are charging $1,000, like, yeah, obviously 7.5 seems expensive. But if we compare the 7.5 to the real options, agencies and in-house, then actually seems like a discount, seems like a great deal. So like I said, this is the easiest way to price to value, but it doesn't answer the question that inevitably will come up when the client's like, hey, that's great and all, but how do I know when I make my money back? And that's where we get into the second method. So this is what I call the punch card. So you know how back in the 90s coffee shops used to have punch cards where it was like, buy 9 coffees and you get the 10th for free? And they worked because everyone was sort of doing the same math in their head. They're like, okay, if I come here 5 times a week, then after 2 weeks, then I basically get a free coffee. But then they do the other side of the equation, which is like, if I only come here once a month, then I'll probably lose the card. It's not really worth it. It's pointless for me to even get it, right? So same concept here. We just want to turn your retainer or your project into a punch card that answers the question, how many sales do I have to make before this thing becomes free? All right, so to give you an example of how this could actually look, let's say, for example, we want to charge a $5,000 a month retainer, and the client's average profit per sale is $100, just for easy math. All we'd have to do is divide those two numbers, and that gives us a grand total of 50 sales that we would have to make in order for our service to be effectively free. And if we want to break that down on a per day rate, just divide that by 30, and we get, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 sales per day for them to break even. So the pitch becomes not that we're going to charge you $5,000. It's, hey, based on this rate, we would have to get you 2 extra sales a day for us to break even. So based on your current traffic and conversion, does that feel easy? Does it feel like more of a stretch? And to be honest, for most businesses, especially if it's only a $100 profit, getting an extra 2 sales a day is like nothing, right? And if they can't get an extra 2 sales a day, then either you shouldn't be in business or they shouldn't be in business. Now, if they're running paid ads on something like Google or Meta, it actually becomes even easier because we can use a number that they already believe in. So let's just say, for example, we're charging that same $5,000 retainer, and we're on a discovery call and we ask them, how much does it cost to acquire a customer? In other words, how much do you have to pay to get one customer? So let's just say that it's $50, for example. We just have to divide those two numbers and we get a total of 100. So essentially, our $5,000 retainer is worth the same cost as 100 customers. And we can do the same math where we divide that by 30 and we get somewhere in the neighborhood of 3. So the pitch here becomes, hey, so currently you're paying about $50 to acquire a customer. So our retainer is the equivalent of getting about 3 customers a day. So as long as we can get more than 3 customers a day, we basically work for free. And if we can't get at least 3, then you probably shouldn't hire us. So in both situations, the client's basically asking themselves, I have this punch card, how many punches do I need before the thing is entirely free? And as long as we can give them that number, then it becomes a much easier sell and we can kind of justify any number. Now, if you're looking at this punch card and you're like, I need like 5,000 sales just to break even, this makes absolutely no sense. Then either 1, you're way too expensive, or 2, it's not the right client. So if you want to know in about 5 seconds whether you should actually pitch the client or not, you should use the calculator in the link in the description below. You just pop in a few numbers, it'll tell you if you should pitch them or not. Now, the punch card is a great method when the clients want to grow, but the third method is the one that makes them feel like they're just wasting money by not hiring you. And that's why it's the most effective, and that's why I saved it for last. So the third method is what I call the emergency plumber. So a few years ago, our drains were clogged and my wife said that we should call a plumber, but me being a dude, I was like, nah, I can fix this, right? So I go to the hardware store and I get a snake, and lo and behold, I make it a whole lot worse. And eventually we have raw sewage coming out of our shower. This is absolutely disgusting, but in that process, I was like, dang, we need to call a plumber. So I'm literally scooping this stuff out, and at this point, I don't care how much it costs because I know whatever I pay him, it's gonna be a whole lot cheaper than me having to replace flooring and floorboards and all that kind of stuff. So imagine yourself as the emergency plumber, but you're just doing it for their marketing. So instead of pricing to what the client will gain, you price to what it's gonna cost them to not hire you. So let's say, for example, that we wanna shoot a web hero video that's gonna live on the website. It's gonna hopefully increase conversions for the brand, and it's gonna be great, right? And we wanna charge $5,000 for it just as a one-time fee. So we basically just need to know a few numbers. We need to know how many visits the website gets. So let's just say, for example, it's 10,000 visits that they get on a monthly basis. And we can either ask the client this, or you can look on something like SimilarWeb and you're able to kind of figure that out. And we need to know what the conversion rate is. So let's just say, for example, it's 1% conversion, which is pretty bad, but a lot of brands are kind of in that realm. And then you just multiply those numbers together to get how many sales they're getting off their website per month. So in this case, for easy math, it's about 100 sales. And by the way, you can do this math in front of the client and it's gonna blow their mind and you're gonna look like a pro. So, okay, so 100 sales. Now, the next thing we need to know is what's the goal, right? So if we don't change anything about traffic and we're still getting those same 10,000 visits, but we just want to increase our conversion to, let's say, 2%, which honestly is industry average, right? So that's probably where I'd start, is what's the industry average? Let's start there. So 2% is essentially doubling the business, right? We get 200 sales from a 2% conversion rate without adding any more traffic. That's just increasing conversions, right? Which hopefully our video will do. So all we need to do is figure out what is this gap. Well, in this case, the gap between 100 and 200 is 100 sales per month that we're adding. And then we need to figure out how much is each one of those sales worth. So let's just say, for example, they make $100 profit, just for easy math. Okay, so we multiply the gap 100 times 100, which is how much a customer is worth. And we get a grand total of $10,000 per month that they are wasting by not increasing their conversion rate by 1 percentage point, right? So the sale becomes not pay me $5,000, it's hey, every month that we don't increase our conversion rate here, we're actually leaving $10,000 on the table. And we can extrapolate that out to a year, so it's 120. We can do all kinds of stuff with this number. But the sale becomes less about, hey, I can't afford $5,000, and it becomes more of, I can't afford not to hire you for $5,000 because this is way too expensive for me. So when you quantify what the leak is, in this case, 10,000 bucks, then you can't be compared to anyone else's day rate because no one else is pitching it that way. And it's the most ethical way to do it because it's actually based on their real numbers. Now, the real trick with all three of these is you can actually mix and match, and you can combine them so that you can create an offer that is just completely uncomparable to anybody else in the market, and you look really unique and premium. And when you switch from pricing based on what you care about to pricing based on what the client cares about, you can charge a lot more, you won't have to justify your prices, and honestly, business is just a lot more fun. Now, the thing is, just knowing how to price yourself is great, but it doesn't really matter if you don't know how to attract clients that can afford it and create an offer that makes sense and ultimately deliver results so they want to continue paying you. So if you want to learn how to do that, then watch this video here where I break down my entire system for growing and scaling a retainer business.